All right, we are live with another episode of Marketing Without Rules, the podcast that is all about thinking outside the box, coloring outside the lines, and not just relying on lead providers and agencies to serve up your leads on a golden platter. You are going out there as a hunter, as someone who is making the moves to grow your business. I'm your host, Lewis Vandervalk, and we're joined today by Taylor Chastain of Up and Away Hauling. Taylor had a really cool story of actually how he started. It involves a toilet, and we're going to talk today
all
about
good stories do.
Like all good stories do. So we're going to talk today about networking. We're going to talk about building his brand, building his team, working on commercial relationships, and that sort of jazz. So welcome to the show, Taylor. Pumped to chat here today.
Hey man, thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to do it.
Love it. I've seen you've been making the rounds. I saw you on another one this week. So you're making some moves and starting 2025 off strong.
Yeah, I have a pretty simple perspective on opportunity, and it's yes.
I love it. So tell us the toilet story. Let's not leave people hanging for too long. Tell us the toilet story.
Yeah, so the toilet story is the answer to the question, how'd you get into junk removal? I was doing landscaping in high school. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My dad's an entrepreneur, so I started off cutting grass like he did. Turns out cutting grass is no fun. Also turns out I'm allergic to grass. So
no way. I forgot that.
Sucked. Yeah, dude, I was getting like quarter-sized welt all over my body, no AC in the truck. Brutal. And but one of my landscape customers said, hey, we had our toilets redone. Can you take them to the dump? I said, where's that? They said, here's the address, and they gave me $20. Drove to the dump, threw the toilets on the ground, and as we all know, they shattered. And I went, that was fun. And my next thought was, I bet I could get paid for that. So there you go.
That is awesome. That's the toilet story right there, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't gone out and thrown a toilet in the dump, it's awful fun. And you might even have to start a company like Taylor did. So now, these many years later, you've got a company. How many guys do you have?
There are 9 of us right now. We had a couple of guys leave and we didn't replace them over the winter. We're like, oh, we'll replace them in March.
So. Yeah, no, that's fair. So talk. We're going to get into building your brand, which you are good at and you've been rocking. But talk a bit about the team. I know you've invested into your team with training with Kevin as one that I know right off. Things like that. Talk about where your team was, a year ago versus where it is now, and what you've had to do as a leader to help the team level up. Because the team can't level up if the leader doesn't level up.
Yeah. So a year ago, man, I can't remember who coined this phrase, but I stole it because it was so great. But I was playing the Genius with Many Minions game. And that's a dumb game because you have to micromanage everybody and tell everybody what to do. Now, that wasn't 100% true. I definitely had team members that were running in their roles and doing their job and doing them correctly, but they weren't responsible and planning for and pushing for next week, next month, next year. Let's grow this thing. Let's build this thing. Because that wasn't their roles, because I didn't empower them to have those roles. I didn't request them to have those roles. So all of this is on me because almost all the guys I have now were with me then, and they've all stepped up. And it's really been me stepping out of the way that's allowed them to step up. And so, we had Lizzie was our office manager back then. She left us in May, and she was doing a great job. She was running everything day to day really well. Josh Early and a couple other people were team leads. They're fantastic team leads. I mean, I'd put them up against anyone in the industry. But then over 2024 during the summer, Josh was wanting to take on more responsibility. He was getting towards the end of his college career. And so we promoted him to assistant ops manager. And while being in school full-time, working full-time, having a girlfriend, having a life, he was also, running trucks every day. He then took on all of our maintenance. He started dealing with all of our complicated projects. He started estimating. He started just building on all those technical things. And then come around, I guess, August, September, October, I was like, okay, you need to be the operations manager, handling the guys, the people, everything that it takes to do the job. He was a little on the fence. And then he ended up signing when he graduated college, and he signed with us to be our operations manager. It was a funny story because I was like, what does your family think about the prospect of you staying on with a junk removal company? Because those are the voices in the ear, right?
Yeah.
And he said, I had a conversation with my dad, and my dad said, well, son, when you graduate with a degree, are you going to at least look for some jobs? Because you're going to get a job offer that doubles what you're making now. And he said, Dad, I just have a basic computer technology degree. What do you think I make now? I said, I don't know, 30-ish a year. He's like, Dad, I make almost double that now, and my promotion will be more. So what? And his dad was like, oh, maybe you should stay with Up and Away.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of stories like that. We had a team leader who now spends 20 to 30 hours a week in business development. We have another team leader who's taken over all of our social media. We hired a new office manager when Lizzie left, who's been crushing it. And she now is, 80% that day-to-day operation, but she's also 20% marketing, content development, blog posting, and doing a lot of that back-end detail work. So the bench depth is awesome now. And this is the best team I could ever even imagine. So they really are the reason for any success that we may have.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to get into you talking a lot about the guys, but we're going to get into you. Ivan is in the house. Hey, Ivan, appreciate you. Definitely cool chatting with Taylor any time of the day. Ivan, we'll have to have you on the show as well. Reach out. We'll get you on the show. But so you're talking a lot about your people, but I really want to dive into you, and that may be uncomfortable. I'm not sure, but I wanted to dive into, you said you had to step out of the way, but as a leader, certainly speaking from my experience, and I'm only going to ask questions based on my experience, because otherwise, what's the conversation, right? But as a leader, it is tough sometimes to step out of the way. You have the vision, and sometimes translating that vision to your guys and girls can be tricky. How did you do that process? Did you have outside mentorship to do that? Did you just watch and learn, or did it just one day click and you said, oh, this is what I'm doing? Or did the people on your team kind of harass you to the point that you were like, okay, cool, you can go do this?
Oh man, I think yes is the answer. I mean, I've read a lot and listened to podcasts and listened to books. I mostly listen to books, and I'm getting all this information about delegate, hold accountable. If they can do it 80% as good as you, great. Let them do the first. You do the first 10%. They do the 80%. You do the last 10%. All of the things you read and all the how to be the most efficient person ever books, I understood. The problem is this is like 2025 is year 11 of Taylor Chastain hauling junk. And so for, 8 of the last 11 years, my life has revolved around turn truck on, pick junk up, go to dump. And so letting go of that has been very hard. And so my team really encouraged me that, hey, we've got this. We know what we're doing. We put in a really good process last year for our leadership team where we're weekly setting goals. Monthly, we're building systems in the business and we're auditing them all as we go. And so they're like, Taylor, we've really got it. And what solidified it for me is this summer I went to the beach. I took a week off. It was like middle of the week to middle of the next week. And so we had a leadership meeting that kind of covered both weeks. Their highlight from the previous week was how little I talked to them.
Amazing.
They exceeded their sales goals both weeks.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I need to breathe.
Need to breathe. Was that so when you went to the beach, how hands off were you? Obviously, if their highlight was you not talking to them much, obviously you were spending some more time with the family, but what does that actually look like? Because you can go on vacation but not truly be on vacation. Yeah, tell us about that.
I was pretty well off. I mean, there were 2 or 3 days where I answered the phones in the evenings. So we're technically open till 6, but Amanda gets off at 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, our ops manager, obviously is cross-trained, so he can cover all the phones. But if he's off and her day is over, then I'll back them up. I was like, for 2-3 days, I got no problem doing that. I took like 3 or 4 phone calls. Yeah. But really that was talk to client, be nice, put in system. Hey, heads up, I put that in. Peace.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
Love it. Now talk about the leadership meetings and setting goals. Jim Rohn I think it was him that said, goals are great, but if you're not revisiting them and writing them down consistently, you're not going to meet them. I'd love to hear how you
Yeah.
implement that with your team.
Yes. So we I think you've probably heard of Fire Dogs and Joseph's Junk Removal. You know, they're big
Yeah.
gorillas in this business. But they introduced me to kind of the format they use, and so we've adopted it to track some of our key metrics. But what we have a lot of KPIs and stuff we track. But when it comes to goals, what we're talking about every week is what was the family personal win from last week? What was the business win from last week? What is the relaxation goal for this week? Something personally fills you up. What's an introspective intellectual goal that fills your mind? And what are 2 to 3 tactical things that if those are done this week was a win. And then we self-impose consequences. So anything, if you miss, you have to do whatever you don't want to do. Often I'm putting running because I hate running, or going without energy drinks because I don't like that. But doing
like
any of those
that
things.
suck your energy.
Exactly. And then every month where those tactical things are building towards creating some kind of system that nurtures our business over the long term.
Amazing. That's cool. Now, how many times you had to run and go without energy drinks?
Me, only like 3 or 4, because I've got no problem working until 11 o'clock on Sunday to make sure I don't have to do those things.
I love it. What are some of the funny consequences that your team has put together?
Mine are all pretty much exercise related or going without something. I know Amanda, our office manager, she went without ice cream for the whole week of Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And she was like, I'm so bummed. I was going to get it. And then something happened. Her parents were in town, like all this stuff. It's like, man. And we don't I don't force this on them, and they don't force it. You know, we just say, we've agreed to set a consequence, and we've agreed that if we don't do our thing, we have to do it. And so we just report on that, you know?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Very cool. So the team's stepping up, and I've seen you kind of step into that role. Do you ever find yourself going in and sabotaging it at all? Like having the urge to anyway?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I certainly have the urge to. Even yesterday, we had to get rid of a bunch of rocks for a customer. I mean, one of the rocks was a solid 3.5 feet across by 1.5 feet, 2 feet across. It was a big boy. So we had a 12,000 pound excavator out there where we can not even pick this rock up. We're just flipping it because it's that big. And, my ops manager is out there. He said, hey, I just need you to come watch me. I just need somebody experienced spotting me. So I went out there. I watched him literally for 10, 15 minutes, and another team member arrived to spot him. And I had a meeting to go to. And so I never even got to touch the machine. You know how badly I wanted to play? But what really needs to happen is Josh needs experience on this particular machine so that next time he doesn't need me. He's got it. He can be the eyes for the next guy, and our knowledge is growing as a team.
Yeah, that's huge. I find it really hard riding the balance of the team's got it, but sometimes I just like to get in and do some stuff too. And so it's making sure that I have things that still pique my interest, and keep me engaged that way. And I'm continually pushing the envelope, but letting the team run the stuff that we've already designed as a system. That's a tricky one. So you built built the team. Obviously, it's an ongoing thing. Let's talk about the brand side of it. So you're building a team, which is kind of your brand, but what have you done? I know you're very you're focused on this, and you're also very conscious about this, building a brand, building a community around your brand. What can people do to copy what you're doing, if you could put it in a recipe?
So I think somebody said your brand is what people say about you when you're not there.
I think that's about right. Yeah.
I think that's about right. And so where I hesitate talking about building a brand is most business owners here build a brand and they think buy a billboard.
Yeah.
And that could not be farther, especially in junk removal, from what I think needs to happen. Now, is there a scale at which it happens? 100%. My assumption is that in the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to start seeing up and away billboards in Atlanta because it's going to start mattering. I could be wrong, right? I reserve the right to be wrong at any time. But building a brand for us is all about creating the experience where our customers are dying to have us back.
Yeah.
They're dying to work with us again. We got a review 6 months ago or so that really stands out to me. She said, "Up and Away are like my little brothers for hire. I'm always happy when I have a project for them."
That's funny. That's
I
awesome.
love that, you
Yeah.
know? And so that's also why I've been content with kind of a C minus logo. I mean, my trash man doesn't even have a face, for goodness sakes, right? This is not the best logo in the world, but it's good enough, and it allows us to organize around something. And really, what that becomes is our core values, our customer experience, our team culture, and letting that propagate so that our customers feel like they're part of our journey, and we also, especially on the commercial side, when we have long-term relationships, we're a part of their journey.
Yeah.
We're a partner with them.
I have this theory, and I'd love to be proven wrong. I'm actually having Dan Antonelli on the podcast here soon with Kick Charge Creative.
Yes, he told me that my brand needed a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly right. So I have this theory,
Yeah.
and I want to chat with him about it. But I have this theory that you are the brand up to a certain point, and then eventually you want to scale it past that. And you were talking about getting the billboard eventually, and Dan does an amazing job at truck wraps and logos and branding and getting that out there in a way that really hits the community. But I think that before you do that, you have to have a brand worth sharing. And so, yes, we usually pick a logo, we pick a name, and we go. But oftentimes, people are buying from us still. People are buying from the owner. People are buying from the team members that they interact with. And so that brand that you're building, that those little brothers that can come over and help this lady with her projects anytime, that's the brand that goes around and precedes you wherever you go. I know you guys also do a lot of community events. Talk a bit about those.
Yeah, we do. We're involved in food drives. We're involved in touch a trucks. We're in parades. We do community recycling events. We do electronic recycling events. We do like community cleanup days. Some of these are through networking associations. Some are through churches. Some are through referral partners. Some are through municipalities. And so wherever we can go to brighten someone's day, provide a service, have some fun. Like, I mean, the 4th of July parade we do every year, we literally get in the parade. They said in our particular city, you can't throw anything out, but they didn't say anything about picking things up. So we collect litter.
Yeah.
And we say, give us your wrappers, water bottles, couches, and love seats. And we just make a joke out of it. Parade staging takes 2 hours. So we turn it into a tailgate and we invite everyone around us. We have breakfast and we have sodas and waters and fans because it's hot, and spike ball and cornhole. And we throw all that and stuff and stuff in the truck and take it with us on the parade. Last year, there was another junk removal company there. And there was like 6 of them sitting there in the sun with no water. I was like, y'all want to have some breakfast? Come play spike ball with us. And so it's all of us just competing at fight ball and not at junk removal, just having a good time.
I love it. I love it. Now you rattled off a bunch of stuff there, kind of nonchalantly. This is a big deal, and this is something that a lot of people overlook. It takes work to do those events. I know that you had posted in the group earlier this year, I guess late last year, because we are in the new year now. But you had posted about your guys going out. You weren't able to make an event, and I think you were asking about an SOP, but that's a lot of events to go to. One, do you have a set goal of events that you want to go to 2025, and how are you continually reaching out and finding new opportunities to go to?
Our goal is to be at one event a month, and then with the caveat that some months are more eventy than others.
Yeah.
Right. When it's warm and nice, you're going to have way more events than January. So we probably won't have any events in January.
Yeah.
We also expect to have 4 or 5 over the course of June, July, and August.
It's a busy touch of trucks. All of that happens there in the summer.
Yeah, and then Halloween, like trunk or treat, is a great idea. We last year we went to an elementary school trunk or treat. We bought like 600 or 700 pieces of candy, and it was all gone in the first hour. And we only gave 1 per kid.
Wow.
But we set up a tube on the outside of our dump truck, and we tilted it up in the air, and it's a candy slide. So the kids go to the back, put the bag, and we sling the candy down to them. And it's fun to do as an adult. It's got to be fun as a kid.
Yeah, that's memorable, right? And I strongly believe that getting to the kids, we've got 4 kids, right? And so if they bring stuff home from the library or whatnot, the parents see that. And so you are marketing directly to them. It's a memorable experience. Anything that you can do to make a parent's kids happy is a happy moment for the parents as well. So it's a great opportunity there to make that happen. Cole's jumped in here. Cole says, how many employees do you have and what is yearly revenue?
So we have 9 employees, and like I said, we'll staff up to 12 to 14 this summer, most likely. Maybe 15. We might have to bring another office person in. And last year we did just a tiny scotch under $1 million, $3,500 under. What a bummer! But
I was talking to Taylor, and he was pushing like the night before. It was awesome. You guys were finishing up some big jobs.
We were out till 8:30 on New Year's Eve with 3 crews.
Making it happen.
Commercial clean out over the finish line.
So this goes back to team, but obviously the team has bought into that goal too, right? Because they were out there New Year's Eve making it happen.
Yeah. I mean, and as always, there's differing levels, but yeah, the guys are in it. They're in it to win it. And I've especially, 2 of the guys that were out with me were Josh and then my brother Jonathan. He's a team leader, but he's my brother. So I mean, he's been with me since the beginning. I used to bust him out of high school to come help me on jobs. And so, standing there on New Year's Eve, we did the job, put it in, invoiced it, looked at our number, we were like, okay, $996 and change. And we all just looked at each other like, hey, remember when literally none of us, including me, could scrape together $16 an hour? Like that, and now we're making good money, we're getting bonuses, we're providing a great service, and we're like, this close to $1 million. Like, okay, we're just gonna go ahead and dance on the 1 yard line or whatever, just have fun with it.
Yeah. Big, hairy, audacious goals. You shoot for the moon, and even if you land in the stars, right?
Yeah, it's still greater than 25% growth year over year. So, like, we'll take it.
That's awesome. Yeah, very cool. There's one thing that I was just going to ask about. Oh yeah, what's it like working with your brother?
Oh, it's awesome. We had to, when it's just you and him 1 or 2 days a week, it's super easy. And then as the things start to become more professional and more standardized, there was definitely the tension there. But now we just had the hat conversation. I don't know if you've ever heard where I heard this from is Dave Ramsey, but everybody talks about it. I feel like maybe not.
I've never heard of it. I don't listen to Dave Ramsey enough, apparently.
Well, I'm not saying that everything he says is the very best. A lot of it's good, but this one's great. And so when we're at work, I have on the boss hat, he has on the team leader hat. And when we're at home or at a family event or things like that, we are just brother hats. It doesn't mean we can't talk about work, but I've got nothing to say to him about his responsibilities. We're just cutting up about the job, and he's got nothing to say to me of, hey, I needed you to deliver me this media thing.
I love that. I think you muted there quickly, Taylor. There we go.
My bad. My AirPod died. My bad.
No worries. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I like the hat thing. Let's talk about commercial and creating, nurturing, and finding commercial accounts that you can work with and relationships that you can really start to rock out.
Yeah, I will. My big giant caveat is you should talk to Barry Hartman about this.
I'm having him on the podcast soon as well.
He's amazing. I'm learning a lot of stuff from him in regards to this. And so, yes, we have some stuff that works. Also, I would just do whatever he says.
You would do whatever he says. Yeah, talk a bit about him. So you're in his accelerator. I think it's called the Bolt Accelerator, right?
Yep. So I've been involved with his group. He and I have done a little bit of one-on-one coaching. He's a really nice guy. He's been super generous with his time, and his knowledge and what they're doing at 505 is really cool. It's very cool also because they're in the same city that 1-800-GOT-JUNK started in.
Yeah.
So they've had a lot of experience in how do we differentiate in a saturated market, which is the question I have, because now Atlanta is one of, if not the top franchise for 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Yeah.
I think last year they did 20-ish million in our area. And so it's like, okay, we've got an 800-pound gorilla and we've got probably 150 other haulers.
Yeah.
How do we differentiate? How do we stand out? And how do we win commercial work? And I will say when we're bidding against 1-800, it's easy every time.
Really? Talk to us about that. And I know I want to a couple things here, and then we'll dive into the bidding there. I'm having Barry on, cool Canadian dude. He reached out to me on LinkedIn, excited about that. And then the other thing is, thank Kevin Hess for getting the Atlanta um, one to where it was to bounce off to the 20 million.
Yes, the way I see it, man, is we've all been in the dump, and there's plenty of trash to go around. So as much as I would love to take their market share and plan to, it's also encouraging because I know that whatever my goal is, it's probably too small.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're literally doing it now. And so, I turn around and look at where I come from, and I'm like, yeah, we're at $1 million. And then I turn around and I'm like, and they're at 20. Okay, back to work. It's like back to work. We got more work to do. But yeah, so Kevin's great. We're actually recording some videos to help him with his course next week. So that'll be fun.
Very cool. All right, so I took us on a sidetrack there, but let's talk about going up against 1-800 when it comes to bidding, and then I'd really like to get into some nitty gritties. Anything you're willing to share about the actual finding these people and getting to bid on these jobs.
Yeah. So going against 1-800 is nice, at least in our market. Obviously, I can't speak for every market. Here's my rabbit hole. I went to Chattanooga, which is a little town in Tennessee north of us. It's like 500,000, 600,000 people, not very big. And
like
whenever I go,
a little town.
Pardon?
I like how you call that a little town. I'm in a city of 100,000 right now, so I guess that's a really little town.
The county I grew up in, I don't live there now, but where I grow up in our primary service area, you can drive the whole thing in 50 minutes, and it's 900 to 1,000 people.
Wow.
So, and the whole metro is like 6 or 7 million. So it's like, that's why Atlanta is such a crazy market, because it's freaking huge. Yeah. Anywho, in Atlanta, 1-800's commercial rates are like $100 more than their residential rates per load.
Okay.
And then obviously they overestimate a little bit. You don't know what your labor hours are going to be, and then they're just adding more on top of that. So their fees are just high, and there is expressed appreciation from property managers when somebody with a fire under their butt comes to haul their junk. So we're able to sell the crap out of that.
Nice.
So because for us, we do not across the board mark up commercial. There are obviously commercial situations that are more expensive because it takes more time, it weighs more, there's whatever, insurance burdens, there's all kinds of, got to spend $500 protecting some 40-year-old carpet. Fine, whatever. But there's also commercial jobs that just don't merit that. If somebody's cleaning out a storage locker in the loading dock level of a commercial building, yes, it's commercial. You can also do a full load in 20 minutes. So do we really need to charge $890 for that load? No. We're going to recycle 3/4 of it anyways.
So you just roll with it. That's awesome.
The last one we were head to head with them on, it was also easy to sell. I said, do you mind if I ask who we're bidding against? The lady was super nice. I said, yeah, it's up against 1-800. I said, cool. I said, well, I'm going to send you the estimate. I'm 98% certain it's going to be less. If it's not less, let me know and let me work with you. I'd really like to work with you, and I don't think you don't want to send a percentage of your money to Canada anyways. Down here in the South, that plays great. Right? And so she was like, okay, cool. And we were still $1,500 under them. Our number was $5,000. We ran that job at 88% gross profit. We crushed it on that job, absolutely made our money. We did a flat rate. We said, this is the price. And we still beat 1-800 by $1,500. So customer wins, we win, and we get to retain her. It's great.
That's funny. I like your Canada line. I keep sending money to Canada to me, and then you can keep using that line, landing your commercial jobs.
If Big Bad Orange Man makes you the 50th state, then you're going to get it. So
there you go. But that's an interesting line. It kind of plays on the we're a local company, and we'd love to. That's a cool take on that. And I also was going to point out, how do you know you're cheaper? Sometimes you just got to ask. Who else are you talking to, and what are you looking at? And then you get comfortable with that process.
We ask all the time. If we're in a bidding situation, we ask all the time. And the reason we ask is we say, hey, we think we're the best. We work really hard to earn our reviews, and we love working with customers in your situation, whatever their situation is. So if we're off, we would really like to know that. And even if you don't go with us, would you be willing to share who you do go with and why you went with them so that we can grow? And
Amazing.
nobody ever is going to not help somebody grow, especially in our day and age where it's all about personal growth, business growth, being the best you can be. It's like, it's really hard to say no to that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how we
I mean,
learn.
if people are asked, often they'll give you the answer. Wilton has a question here around, I believe it was the job that you were 1,500 less than 1-800. He said, how many yards of junk came from that job?
That's a great question because the question is before or after we broke everything down flat. So it was desks and stuff like that coming out. So the way we quoted that is this is another thing we learned from Fire Dogs and Joseph's, but we just added up what all of our expenses would be, determined the gross profit we need to make on it, and we gave her a flat rate. So I think, like I said, our price was right around $5,000. Internally, we were estimating 5 loads. We weren't totally sure, but if it was 6, it was still going to be $5,000. If it was 4, it was still going to be $5,000. The price is the price. However we do, it's our business. And she was happy with that because her 1-800 quote had a $1,500 range attached to it. So she liked having one final number. And we knew it was a discrete enough project. There was no risk.
Cool.
That being said, we broke down 20-ish desks into a 20-yard dumpster or a 20-yard truck. So we ended up only taking 3 loads out of there, which was
Nice.
40, 50 yards.
Nice. That's awesome. So let's flip back to how you're finding these people, where they come from, and what work you guys are doing proactively to find them. Because again, I mentioned this in the intro, you can be a gatherer and just wait for the leads to show up, or you can go out and hunt them and form those relationships and do the work needed. So lay out some secrets of the trades here for us.
Well, to start with, I have to give you credit because you're our magical gardener when it comes to some of these commercial cleanouts. Lewis does our SEO and stuff for our website. He built our website. So if you like it, go buy yourself one like it. Unless you're in Georgia, then go somewhere else. Just kidding. But Lewis is, for some reason, the office cleanout, commercial cleanout pages on our website are blowing up. So we've gotten a lot of leads from that. We're happy about that. But that's certainly not all of it. And so we do a lot of industry-specific networking. So trying to figure out where our ideal customers are, where they congregate and socialize, and how we can be there. And be there to add value. So a great example is I was at one of these events this week, and there was a lady there who her job is to create events for all the buildings under management for her company, their property management company. Create events for the tenants, create events for the PMs, have a good time. I said, awesome. Do you guys do e-recycling? They said, well, we do some, but we only have little receptacles. I said, great. You want to do a bulk e-recycling event? It'll be free. And so it's like just showing up with a way to add value. And when you lead with generosity, it's real easy to start building that relationship.
Yeah, it's huge. That's cool. How do you find the property managers? Because I think we've talked about this before. I've mentioned it to people. You can join apartment associations, you can join property manager associations in your area. Then you've got a whole list of people who you can reach out to and say, hey, I just joined here. How can I add value? Exactly like you mentioned. But how are you actually finding those people and associations and events to go to?
The most helpful way, truthfully, has been to find other trades people who work with and for property managers and saying, where do you network and can I come? And so that's how I've gotten into a couple of the groups that I'm in. And then my business development guy, he's starting in another one here soon. So we are getting in his through the same process. They're generally not cheap. These are big high dollar industries and these people pay to play. So that's something I'm learning and trying to become more comfortable with because, when you're trying to put a roof on a 40-story building, you've got money to blow to acquire that. When your average ticket is $537, don't have the same money to blow.
Yeah.
And so,
but one commercial relationship can be incredible lifetime value too. You have to think about that, true. Right?
And we have some buildings and properties that we know, okay, that's $10,000 a year just being at that property. That's $40,000 a year with that relationship. That's $60,000 a year with that company. So it's like once we get those, it's good. I am always probably maybe a little more cautious than your average entrepreneur about like overspending on the front end. So maybe I could grow in my risk tolerance a little bit there. And then,
Well, I think I would push back on that a little bit, because having worked with you and seen, at least how you relate to what we're doing, I think it's really good how you're, kind of second guessing everything that you're doing. What's the actual return? Am I just spitting money down the drain, hoping? Again, you could be a hunter and kind of go out there and do all these things, but are you assessing what you're doing? And I think you do a good job of that. So I think there's a balance.
This is something I've actually had a lot of conversations about today. I've actually talked with 4 of my competitors, 4 other junk removal companies today, 2 of which are my competitors in my market. And with 3 of those people, we had the same conversation because they were either flat or down from the year before, or just not feeling great about last year, feeling pumped about this year. They're doing the right things. And what it came down to is, man, our Google just started not performing as good. I said, were you primarily Google ads? I said, yeah. I said, well, here's the deal, man. The market's getting tighter. And if your ads aren't getting tighter, better, converting better, all that stuff, then the thing that used to be more gas equals faster, farther driving on the truck, now there's a hole in your tank. And if you're not careful, you'll be empty with no money to put in Google ads before you even know it's there.
Yeah.
And so that's where having these relationships built up is that safety net where nobody can take that away from you.
Google could go down, Facebook could go down. You still got your cell phone and can still call that person. It's really powerful. I think you should diversify, of course, but Google Ads is just getting more expensive as we go. It really is. It is pay to play, and building these relationships, building up your organic online presence, your organic social media, going to events like that. That's stuff that isn't just going to be like gone in a flash. That's stuff that you're going to keep. As long as you keep nurturing it, right? There's that investment, of course, ongoing. But Google Ads are getting expensive, man.
Yeah. And so that's, we do Google Ads and it's a part of our strategy. But, primarily these relationships are delivering for us. And so we had a really great December. We did 40% more than the previous year's December. Okay, that's exciting. We'll take that. And the vast majority of that was just networking relationships and repeat customers and stuff like that.
It's huge. It's huge. Go ahead.
So this is the one piece, that came to my mind. November and December were the first 2 months I've ever seen that instead of being blocked by budget, because like I said, I'm conservative on Google, instead of being blocked by budget, we were limited by search volume. And yet we had a really great December. Yeah. And what that tells me is if nobody's looking for me, I have a system to go find them. And that's what gives me a lot of confidence in the stability of the business. Even if we can't, we're not going to do 200% year over year. Well, that's fine because we're going to be profitable the whole way through and we're going to build long-term relationships.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. What would you do if you had to start everything all over again?
I would buy a dump trailer faster than 7 years.
Was it what did you have before? I forget.
Pickup and a flat trailer with wood walls that I built.
Dump trailer makes a heck of a difference, doesn't it?
Man, I about cried the first time I dumped a dump trailer.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever go with the big box, like the big Isuzus? I think I've seen you talking about those in the groups a little bit, kind of having your eye on them.
We already have 2. So we have 2 dump trucks, 2 pickup trucks, and 8 trailers.
Gotcha.
So the way I state is we run a hybrid fleet, not an environmentally hybrid fleet, but a mixed fleet. But that allows us to do the dumpsters as the dump trailers as dumpsters, which for us, that was almost 10% of our revenue was dumpsters last year. So that's nothing to sneeze at, especially considering the added capacity you get where we can go put 6 dumpsters on a job site and leave the guys to work. That's nice. Yeah. The other thing is, for instance, the rock job we were doing yesterday, that load volume-wise was 7 yards. Not a big load. It weighed 11,420 pounds. So that is 2 to 3 trips in an Isuzu, which was 1 trip in our 14K dump trailer. Technically, we're 1,000 pounds overloaded, but the DOT didn't catch us, so it's fine.
We'll clip that and put that as a reel. That one little soundbite right there.
Sure. And then everyone can see it, and then the DOT will stop every green truck they see.
Hey, branding, right? No publicity is bad publicity.
I don't want to brand to the guys in the big hats.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So networking, commercial, team building, brand building. What else are you guys doing to really, get to that next level this year?
You just said team building, networking, brand building,
Commercial. Yeah.
commercial. You tell me, man. That's about all I can think of. I'm doing everything I can do.
You guys are doing awesome.
And I'm joking with that. Obviously, we're doing all those things. For us, it's being able to set metrics on what success looks like. Obviously, there are financial metrics attached to that. There's also activity metrics attached to that. And then especially on the community engagement piece, there are a lot of qualitative aspects to that of what do people say about you when you're not there. And the extension of that I see is when I go to a networking event and somebody wants to introduce me to somebody new that I can benefit them or they can benefit me. Whatever they say in that first 60 seconds tells me a lot about my brand. Oh, this is so we took a load of supplies from North Carolina when the hurricane hit. And for the next 6 weeks, anybody who introduced me to anybody said, "This is Taylor. His team took 20,000 pounds of food and water to North Carolina. He's a junk removal guy. You should talk to him." That tells way more about the brand than he's a good junk hauler.
Yeah.
And then the other side of the coin too is like I've got some guys doing business development responsibilities. One of my guys, he said he's in a weekly group. It took his weekly group over 2 months to figure out that he wasn't the owner.
I love it. I love it.
I love it too. Awesome. I said, I don't care. You tell them whatever you want as long as they're buying from you.
Yeah.
Because as far as I'm concerned, the part that you own is building business relationships to drive people into our company. Like, whatever, man. No big deal. It's not about me getting my ego puffed up. It's about building a business that provides for our team and provides for our community and really delivers for our customers.
I love it. Net Promoter Score. You guys have talked about that. How do you actively continue to assess what your Net Promoter Score is? Tell people what it is, and then tell us how you assess that.
Net Promoter Score is super simple. It's like one question and why, which is kind of the second question. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to refer us to your friends and family? Why? We track this. Candidly, we don't track like the number. We don't keep the rolling total because I can't tell you the last time it wasn't a 10. So, and not to toot my own horn, but like toot a little bit, I guess. So like why waste the admin effort? But the reason we do it is not actually to check on our customer service delivery. It's a great backstop because if we do mess something up, we immediately fix it. If somebody says anything 8 or less, they're going to get a phone call from me within 30 minutes, and I'm going to do anything to make it right.
Yeah.
And we've done that. I'll get out there and go fix something. Oh, what in the world? Are you still there?
I'm still here, yeah.
My computer just locked. Okay. I'll go out there and fix something. I'll go out there and I've done jobs for free. I've hired a carpet cleaner at my expense to go fix the carpet we messed up. But that's very rare. That's secondary to the primary purpose. The primary purpose is to generate referrals. And so when you ask the question,
because you're planting that seed.
It takes 3 things for a referral to happen. They have to like you. They have to trust you enough to trust you with their friends and family. And then somebody they know needs to need junk removal.
Yeah.
And so if you ask, how likely are you to refer us to your friends and family? They're deciding questions 1 and 2 ahead of time. So the next time their family member buys a nice car and leaves it in the driveway for 3 weeks, they say, "Hey, I know somebody who could get you your garage back, sister." Referral done.
Big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a big deal. Do you have any sort of referral bonus process, or is it just you keep growing through the referral process organically, basically?
Yeah, we just keep growing with it. We've never had a single person request it.
That's awesome.
So, cool. We even had we were up for Best of Cobb, which is our county. It's a publication from the newspaper. And man, we had people joining our email newsletter every day to vote for us.
That's incredible.
We converted our review link to a Best for Cobb voting link, and we had people tearing it up. They said, "Oh yeah, I voted for you 5 times because it said I could do it every day." Awesome. So we don't know if we've won yet. We won't know till March, but I feel pretty strongly about it.
Fingers crossed for you guys.
Mhm.
That is awesome, man. So cool to see you guys growing. So cool to see the momentum that you're building with the business, with the team, with the community. There's a lot of fun stuff up ahead. Appreciate your time on here, Taylor.
Man, thank you for having me. This is a blast. And to me, anything I can do to share, to be helpful, to help, other guys in the business, I'm down. And if I said something stupid and you've got a better way, message me because I can always learn. And so no big deal. But yeah, it's a fun community, and guys like you really make it a tremendous amount better by the value you bring and the generosity you show up with every time you're interacting, posting, commenting, messaging. Hey, I got an SOP for this. Hey, this is how you get your reviews back. Which, by the way, I've sent your form to like 4 other people, and they've gotten their reviews back. They're very thankful to you.
It's like Christmas, man. It's so exciting. No, I appreciate that. I
I do it
appreciate
every
that. And it makes
just to be safe.
yeah, yeah. No, it makes it fun when you have people that take action like you are. And yeah, guys, Taylor is a wealth of information in the junk removal space. He's continually learning, so reach out to him if you have questions. If you're looking how to get to where he's gone, he's candidly said he's not going to help someone get to 2 million, but he can help you certainly get to the share his lessons to the 1 million mark. So appreciate you coming on, Taylor. Guys, share this out if it was useful to you. Share it with someone that you know that could maybe benefit from this. And most of all, pick anything that we talked about in this conversation and decide to do it consistently. That is how you market without rules. That's how you become a hunter, not a gatherer. Taylor, thank you again. Everyone who tuned in, thank you. Taylor, stick around for a second after, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.